Hi everyone, welcome to Tom's Manshed. Okay, now this review is going to be on this. It's a digital microscope. Now, I bought this about 2 years ago, but I've just used it on one of my last videos on the magnetic charge leads, and it occurred to me then that I'd never done a review on it. I also used it on my digital watch one, so check up here for a review on a fantastic, not a digital watch, a fantastic watch that I bought that I use this to view the insides of. And I put a thing in if anybody wants me to do a review, I will do, and I got a request from Max Diamond saying yeah, he'd love it, so here is that review. So like I said, it's a digital microscope, and it's made by Andonstar, and they do loads and loads of these. So before I go into detail on the thing itself, I'll just show you where I got it from and where it is on Amazon. I got it from a site called BANGGOOD. So there are sort of like good points and bad points about these sort of sites. So I'll show you first, and then I'll go into detail about them. So let's see. Here it is, the one I bought 2 years ago. Okay, this was the one I bought from BANGGOOD 2 years ago. As you see there, it was $156.33. I got it for $154.80 because I had some tokens or vouchers or whatever. But that was 2 years ago price. If we click on it now, today's price from BANGGOOD is £180.56. So that's inclusive of VAT, and it's free shipping to United Kingdom via free shipping. So that's the most you should have to pay. But as you'll see, that is a really good price. But I'll explain the risks with buying from BANGGOOD and AliExpress and that straight after this. But yeah, £180.56 from BANGGOOD today, and on Amazon there's a few of them here. There's loads. Make sure you compare like to like. These are a lesser spec, not as high resolution, and smaller screen, things like that. But there's one here, Andonstar AD407, the same, 260. Same one there, 251. So on Amazon, a lot dearer. What were we? 180 on BANGGOOD, 251. So a good £71 dearer on Amazon. But if you are going to go for one on Amazon, the one I would go for is, since I've bought mine, they've brought out this, the Pro version. Now on the Pro version, this vertical column here is much higher. It tells you there it's 32 centimeters high. So that enables you to hold the lens as they show there, as they do with the one I've got now, which I'll be going into detail, which is very, very important soon. They show the wrong way of holding it in the manual, but we'll go into that in a bit. But this one has got, yeah, much higher thing. Plus there it comes out, as you can see, from got 5 centimeters outward travel as well, and the base is 20 centimeters from back to front, which is the same as the one I'm reviewing, but that is 18 centimeters wide, whereas the one I'm reviewing is only 12 centimeters wide. And also the knobs, them up and down knobs, they do look a bit better, better quality than the ones on this. So yeah, a few sort of differences, none to the actual electronics or the resolution or the lens, it's just the way it's mounted. But for an extra sort of 12 quid, that would probably be the one I go for. Okay, so like I say, I got it from BANGGOOD. Now if you're not familiar with BANGGOOD, it's a huge Chinese based site that sells a variety of stuff, mainly seems to be electronic type items. It's very, very similar to AliExpress, and in many ways it's a similar sort of service. They are fantastic prices, but there are a lot of iffy things on there and iffy dealers and that. In fact, I've just been caught out on AliExpress. If it's too good, I know there's the old fable, if it's too good to be true, it usually is, and I thought it was on this. It was a 3D printer, an BANGGOOD Neptune 3 printer for 150 quid, and the going price is 250 quid normally. So as it was, I never did get it. It said it had been delivered and it hadn't, and I claimed it back, and AliExpress did give me a refund, but it takes age, and I made sure I paid with my credit card, so I knew if it was going to be some sort of scam, which it was, I would get my money back. But the trouble is, it takes you ages to get that. You've got to go through a process and say, no, it hasn't been delivered. And they ask sometimes for a photo of it not been delivered. How can you show a photo of it not been delivered? Like empty hands or something. And you've got to jump through all these hoops and prove that it hasn't been delivered. And they said, yeah, we'll refund it, and then you've got to wait 10 days to get it in your bank. And eventually I got it, but this is the risk you run with sites like that. Plus, when the things do arrive, they take at least 2 to 3 weeks. I think the quickest I've had off AliExpress or BANGGOOD is about 2 weeks. They come direct from China, and it's, as the old song said, it must be a slow boat from China, because it take forever to come. Sometimes you get stung with customs. It'll usually tell you on the thing whether you'll have to pay customs or not, but the odd item I have had to do. But I've bought plenty of stuff, but it's usually been little stuff like electronic components, push button switches for me car and things like that you don't mind if they don't turn up or whatever. You haven't spent a fortune. I very rarely buy anything expensive, but sometimes I do run the risk. And I got this from BANGGOOD, and there was no problems. It came, it was a genuine store, no problem at all, but it did take about 3 weeks to come. Again, if they come damaged or whatever, you've usually got to send them back and pay postage, and it can be a headache. So if you want to do all the risks in waiting a long time, not being able to send anything damaged back economically or whatever, go ahead and get from them stores. But if you want the guarantees of Amazon, who have got a fantastic returns policy, you can get stuff the next day, you can return it within 30 days, even if there's nothing wrong with it and you've just changed your mind. That is my website of choice to buy stuff off Amazon. So, into the thing itself. Get one from wherever you like. Now, it has got this solid metal base. These two things are for two like spring-loaded hooks. Pretty sure they came with it, but I've never used them, so I don't know where they'll be in a drawer somewhere. But you can swing this backwards and forwards. You tighten. I won't do it now because it means untightening this, but there's a bolt there you can see. Untighten that, and this whole thing will swivel backwards, and that will give you an angled attack. And that's what it means by 3D microscopes. You can see it edge on, but most of the time you'll have it vertical like that. And then you've got a rack and pinion here. You can see this toothed shaft, and that moves up it, and you can lock it in place with a nut behind, and that's the highest it will go. Put a bit of tension on that nut, or it'll slip down dead easy. You've also got these two very bright LED lights, which are really necessary actually for aiming at the object. If you haven't got any light, it's very, very dim. There's no light underneath like a conventional microscope. You can also tilt the screen backwards, forwards like that. These buttons under here, I'll go through it when I'm running through this, and the remote control. Get the remote control with it, which is extremely handy. You get USB lead from this little thing. So this plugs into a standard USB. Got standard USB that side that goes into a power plug, and that comes down to here, and this is to turn the whole machine on and off, which again you can do from the machine itself. and to control the lights. So this is just mainly for the lights. That plugs in the bottom there, and it just powers the LEDs. The actual screen and the scope itself are powered through the USB plug that goes in the top, which is an angled one. So that goes in. There, like that. And you've got an HDMI lead there, mini or micro or whatever HDMI lead, and you get that lead with it, and at the other end it's a conventional HDMI. Again, I'll be showing you that, so you can plug that into an external screen. If you're doing a presentation, say at school or whatever, you could plug that into a big monitor to display to the class. And then you've got your micro SD card. You don't get that with it, but any micro SD card will go in there. Now, the main thing I wanted to tell you on this, but like I say, we'll go through all the menu items. There's loads and loads of menus. You can set the resolution and all sorts of things. Date stamp it, put lines on it. Loads and loads and loads. So again, it's going to be a long video, and I make no apologies for that this time, because there's tons and tons to get through. If you want to skip to it, whatever bit you want, just use the line across the bottom here. Now, like I said, the main thing I wanted to show you was that is the best way to mount it in its bracket. In the instructions, and this is just mounted in the alloy bracket with these two screws, and you can see they've got like a little plastic pad on the end. You can see a focus there, but you can get my idea. It's got a little nylon or whatever plastic pad, and that goes through the bracket. And you see the scope itself has got a groove here at the bottom and a groove here at the top. Now they show it mounted in that bracket right down to this groove, so put it in there, line that groove up with them two screws. So you tighten them two screws up, and that's how it shows it in the instruction book and in a lot of these YouTube videos. But the problem with that is the highest you can get it on here, and that'll be the good bit about the Pro version, it's got a higher back piece than this, so you can go a lot higher. So the highest you can get it, mounting it as they suggest, is about 4 inches or so up from the base. So if you were trying to work with a soldering iron or whatever, you're limited in space, or get a screwdriver in there with what you can do. And it depends on how close that is to the object your lens is there to there, that denotes your magnification. So that, mounting it as they suggest, is the minimum magnification. The better way to do it is, as I just showed you on that thing, as well as that groove there at the top, there's also the same groove here, and this is the bit you turn to focus here, so it's missing it there. And also, if we mount it with just that red band, so that groove is lined up with the two screws, that is now in the slot there at the bottom with these two, and the focus ring is free to turn. But as you can see now, we've got a much wider field of view. Instead of 4 inches, it is now 6 inches. And as you'll see in a minute, on magnifying an actual object, it is a much better way of doing it, because it increases your field of view by a lot. That's the way to mount it, and you've got all the way travel down there to maximum magnification. If you mount it the other way, you can go a bit further down, so it'll give you a tiny bit more magnification, but the minimum is only about here anyway. It won't magnify as close as like that. So you'll only get a bit, and I'll show you exactly to the millimetre what I mean about that. So yeah, that's it. Like I said, screen tips forward and back. I think that's everything I've shown you on the scope itself and the buttons along the bottom. infrared port. It's got a built-in microphone. Don't know where the hole for the microphone is, and I've seen a couple of reviews that have said their microphone doesn't work, but mine works fine. So I'll be showing you a comparison sound. It's not a very good microphone, but it'd be quite handy to make notes, like memo notes, as you're working on an object, and that's when you're recording it to its built-in SD card, and you can record videos and still shots, various resolutions. Like I say, I'll be showing you all them very, very shortly. So yeah, my microphone did work. Now the book that comes with it is pretty naff. It actually refers to, like, it must be a previous firmware thing, because there's certain menu items that are like that cross line, as you'll see in a bit on mine. It's called something like network or something, and there's differences. It goes into great detail about net setting. Yeah, it calls it net setting, but it shows you on the menu as cross line there, and it goes into great detail about that. And yet certain other explanations on the thing, it just totally omits, and it leaves you to make your own mind up what they do. So let's say I'm going to set it up now here next to me and reposition the camera, and I'll go through a few things on the screen, and then we'll show it you in close-up that I've recorded through OBS with it plugged into my PC via the USB lead, and show you in detail how crisp it is. And it is really, really crisp. It's a great resolution lens. Oh, one thing I forgot to tell you, it's got on it a UV filter as well. So there's an ultraviolet filter there, with a big fingerprint on it. So I'll clean that off. But yeah, I don't know who makes the optics, but they are very, very crisp, as you'll see in a second. So wait 10 minutes or so, I'll clear my desk and I'll set it up, the camera, and we'll run through some of the options on the menus. So I'll show you the menus any second, but first of all, on the remote, the buttons, what they are the red one at the top is to capture pictures, still pictures. Then under there you got your menu button to get to all the menus you shortly see. Then the snowflake one there is to freeze frame, and then you got your mode button opposite that. And then on the sort of like the rotary dial, you've got brightness up and down are the left and right ones. Zoom up and zoom down, and that's just like I said, a digital zoom, are the up and down arrows. The OK button in the middle, you just press that and it'll start recording. The plus sign below is to put the cross line on. You can put like a red vertical and horizontal line to mark the center on. The one opposite that is the 50 or 60 hertz frequency selection. And then the 9 at the bottom, going from the top, you've got sharpness down and sharpness up, and lock and unlock the files to protect your images. Then you got the middle row is contrast up and contrast down. No real need for them buttons, because you just keep pressing one button and it goes up and down, up and down. And there's very little adjustment on the contrast, I noticed. And then you got your there's NTL or PAL there, and then you've the reverse arrow one at the bottom row there is to invert the image. I'll show you that later on. And it's just like a negative, gives a colour negative, which might be handy for certain things. And then you got black and white again in the middle, and then factory default. The one at the bottom, this one, I've no idea. It doesn't seem to do anything. It is a button, but it's not marked on the instructions or anything. And on the machine itself, like I said, when you're going through the menus, you can use this, but you do need the remote for some of them. You got your on-off button at the bottom here, your mode button, so you press it once and it goes to movie, press it again, goes to stills, press it again instantaneously and it goes to playback, to view what you've recorded. from any of them menus, you hold it and then you access the menu on screen pertaining to that. So if you're on movie mode and you press and hold, you get the settings pertaining to the movie mode. If you're on the stills mode, the same, and if you're on the playback mode, the same. And then you got your up and down arrows, your OK button to selection, and this button here is to take pictures, the same as the red one on the remote. And the OK button is the same as the thing, so you can sort of take stills direct from here, or start and stop a movie from here without using your remote. It'd be good if they'd mark these in colour. If the colours, the buttons were white with black designs on them or whatever, but the black, you can't really tell what's on without holding it at a certain angle, so that would be one improvement. So let's have a look at it now, going through some of these menus. And again, I know it is going to drag on, but a lot of people want to know what every single item does, so as best as I'm able, I try and explain what every item does. Okay, so excuse the cluttered desktop. I'll be zooming in on the screen itself in a minute, but I just thought I'd show you a bit of a wide-angle view. So this is your controller for, like I say, turn the whole machine on and off. I'm going to zoom in and turn my light out in a minute so you can see it clearly, but you can see my hand underneath the screen there. If we press this button here, the whole thing goes off, including the lights. If we turn it on, both lights light up, and we can increase the intensity of them with this. So then getting brighter and brighter, dimmer and dimmer. It's more, the effect is more with the naked eye, but the camera is compensating. But that's as dim as it'll go, and there is no fully off switch. You'd have to pull the lead out the back there to turn them off completely. So that's what these three buttons are for: high and low lights, and turn the actual microscope on or off. You can position them wherever you like. And as you can see, I've got it mounted as I suggest, with it low down in there, and that'll give us the maximum field of view. But before I go through that, I'll just zoom in now on the screen, and we'll go through some of the menu items. Not everything is available by these buttons, most of it is, but some you have to use the remote control for. So I'll just set that up now. Okay, so these are some of the menus. This button here on the extreme left is the on-off button. Then we've got this M button, that's your menu and your mode button. So at the moment we're in playback. This symbol at the top here is the playback symbol. If we press it again, we go on to the movie symbol, so that's for taking videos. Press it again and we go on to the stills camera video. So you've just got them three, each instant press: playback, movie or stills. Now while it's on any one of them menus, if you press and hold this in for a couple of seconds, you get the menu pertaining to the mode you're in. So if you want the playback menu coming up, press and hold it in from there. If you want the movie record one, from there. So we'll start from the movie one. If I hold this in now and press that, that's the menu that comes up. The first one we come to is resolution. And then once we've got resolution, if you click the OK button on the remote control or the OK button on the screen, you can set the resolution. So it goes down to just standard high definition, which you'd never want. Why have a capability of 4K-ish and only do that? So you can do full HD at 60 frames a second. That one is QHD, which I believe is Quad HD. You're best Googling these formats yourself and it'll explain how many pixels they are, but 4 times as many as full HD. And then this UHD at the top at 24 frames per second is almost 4K. It's not quite 4K in one of the dimensions, I think, but that's probably the one you'd have it on. I'm just going to have it on the full HD because that's all I'll be uploading this video to YouTube in. So select that, full HD, and then you can do your exposure from 0 to make things up to there, +2 to make things brighter. Record audio on or off, we'll put it on. Date stamp, so you can click that and on or off. Time-lapse record, on or off, click it off. I clicked it before, it seems to film about one frame. It makes like a minute be about 2 seconds. If you were sort of doing a long something, I don't know, a culture growing or bacteria spreading or something like that, you could do that. And you got your sharpness there, normal, strong or soft, and freeze, and that just freezes the thing. Again, I've not got it in focus, but just to give you an idea, if I just put my finger under there now and click freeze, on, there, I've moved my hand away, my hand is in front of the camera now, but it's just like frozen that picture. And then after freeze, as you see, we're on page 1 of 2 here. After freeze, go down, you've got contrast, high, medium, low, okay, and colour. You can have normal, black and white, sepia, or negative. You can turn the shots into negative. From there, on the top line, if you press on the machine M again, we go over to that next menu here on the top, these sort of lines, and that says network line setting. So there's all these, you can set different lines. Why you'd want these I don't know, but cross line on or off, on, there. You can see a red line appears on the screen. And then if we go down to the other ones, you've got all these different lines, different colours, vertical, the location. This is that line, do you want it to be red and black? You can see that it's changing there. You can just about see that line appearing, different colours and that. So that's that, should you need it. And then this is where you set your date and time. Language, languages, frequency, your frequency of 50 or 60 Hertz, we're at 50 Hertz here in the UK. Format, you could format your SD card that way. All data will be deleted. If I selected OK, that would rub the entire SD card off. Default setting, everything back to factory settings. Version we are on, that's the firmware version, so maybe some of the ones tested on YouTube are an earlier version without the microphone, but this one certainly the microphone does work. So that's all the ones on the movie menu. The stills mode, and hold that in, and we're now on the stills menu. We've got the same sort of thing. You've got your resolution, so you can go up to like 24 megapixels, 5600 by 4200 picture, right the way down to a 5 megapixel picture. Burst is just on or off. I'm not sure how many it takes, but when you press the thing, it'll take a burst of a few different ones. I'll put it on screen after editing. I'll try and find out how much it puts on at this stage. I'll put text on screen how many shots a burst is. And then quality, fine, normal, economy. I would imagine you'd have it on fine. Sharpness, I'll leave it at normal. Sometimes strong, it's like too sharp, artificial looking. White balance, colour, again, ISO, just leave it set on auto. Mode is the playback mode. So if we're on playback now and we select the menu, just hold that in for 2 seconds. On playback we've got delete, protect and slideshow. Just delete the current one, delete them all, or cancel. You can protect if you want to lock the current picture so it doesn't accidentally get deleted. And slideshow, so it'll go through all your pictures every 2 seconds, 5 seconds or 8 seconds. So that's your menu. So I bet you're waiting to actually see what sort of footage it can capture. So let's have a look at this. I've used some various things. I've used a banknote, some 3D printing items, a tape measure. I show that difference I'm on about how you mount it, what extra field of view you can get very accurately with a tape measure on there. And when I show the circuit board, as you'll see, there's a little uninvited creature on there. So I'll lacy that in a bit. But yeah, I hope you don't think it's a dirty house or anything, but it's some sort of microscopic dust mite. But yeah, I was lucky to get it, but it shows the resolution because you can see all its feelers and everything. So let's have a look at them coming up now. Okay, so this is it with it mounted as shown in the instruction book and as shown on a lot of YouTube videos, with the tube sticking quite far down and the clamping screws on the top of the tube. And as you can see, the widest angle, this is as far up as it'll go, so it's the biggest gap now between the base and the lens. And as you can see, I've got this ruler here, steel rule, and I'll try and get that big line there right on the edge of view, as you can see. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, about 14 millimeters of field of view. And that's like the widest angle you can get when you mount it as per the instruction book and a lot of YouTube videos. And this is as far down as it'll go in that position. It's extreme focus. It won't focus any lower than this. So this is like the maximum magnification. And as you can see, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 millimeters and a bit. I would say like 4.25 millimeters. So that's the maximum magnification you'll get with it mounted as per the instruction book. So if you want magnification, the maximum mag, that's the way you'll do it. But as you'll see in a second, we get much more field of view with it mounted the way I suggest. Okay, so as you can see now, if we line up, this is at its extreme upper limit. Can't get it any higher, so like its widest angle, but with the scope mounted as I'm suggesting, with it just into the bracket, into the lower groove. We have now got, if we line that long stripe up there, we've now got 10, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 25 millimeters. So a much bigger range of view, field of view, and sometimes you want that more than the magnification. And as far down as it'll go, which isn't quite as far obviously as before, so it won't be quite as high a magnification, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and a bit millimeters. Whereas with the tube mounted before, you could get 4 and a bit. So hardly any difference in maximum magnification, but much, much better for wide angle mounted the way I show it in that bracket. So this is using something a bit more that you'd be likely to microscoping instead of a tape measure. This is a UK £20 note, and this is just part of the sentence, I promise to pay the bearer. Now this is with the scope mounted as per the instructions, which I think is the wrong way to do it, and just shows a bit better than tape measure method what you can get in. Now that's the minimum field of view you'll get, so the minimum magnification, and you'll only get up to the letter E. I promise to pay the BE. Whereas if you mount it as I suggest, you can see you get a much better and much nicer field of view. You can see right past the BE of bearer, right over, and it's like almost twice as much really, and yet it winds down to almost the same magnification as it would mounted as per the instruction book. So they mount it how you like, but I think that is a much greater range of magnifications mounting it in the way I suggest. So that's a couple of frame grabs, a couple of still shots. So let's go into this £20 note now, and let's see a few more of the more interesting features and show you what fantastic resolution this scope is. And you can see above there's like a building right in the centre of the note. It looks like an old building. I presume it's the Bank of England. I don't know. And under its that's its roof. And under there's all these words: £20, £20, £20. It's no way you can even see that with the naked eye. You're not really even aware it's there. And the Queen's face itself. We go into that one eye. You can see how crisp you can get it. It's just one eye on the Queen's head. And some of the other parts. See all the little speckles of gold in the badge on the right, on the left. Well, this bit is I'll wind it up a bit higher for this. So this is the see-through part of the banknote, and you can see where it's like clear plastic. You can see the base tray of the microscope just here. This little bits of dust, and you can see when it's going through the hologram, you can see all the different colours of the hologram as I move it around. And like I said, there's the base plate there. So it might be on some transparent objects, it might be better putting a piece of white paper behind it. So you can even get a bit of a shadow on the paper, but try to press it as tight as I can down. That's the top of, there's sort of like a tower there. And that's it with the white paper behind, and that's showing the holes a bit better because it's a contrasting colour. If I pull the paper out now, you can see that it's not that. So putting a different coloured background on it will sometimes help. Obviously, if it's the solid object, it doesn't really matter. All those tiny 20s are really, really small. Okay, let's try it now on say a circuit board, something you'd be more likely to be viewing. So yeah, I'm sure you'll agree, unbelievably crisp detail on that UK banknote. So I'm just going to do two more things now of things you're more likely to actually use it for. So any 3D printer will know what these are. They're just test cubes. It tests how accurate your 3D printer is in all the axes, X, Y and Z. And I tried these. I printed one using a slicer called Simplify 3D and another one where it's just the normal Cura. And you'll see the difference too. Cura is better to me. I could probably get the Simplify to be as good, but I don't know which settings I'd have to change to match the Cura ones. Straight from the box, just set up for my printer as Cura. You'll see now that I think it is a better print. So let's have a look at these under the microscope now. Now this is the X side. So we've got an X side, a Z side, and a Y side. If you look on the X side, this has got a cross in it as well, just here. Next to the X, just here, where the tip of the pen is, there is like a cross, like an add cross. That was the one printed on Cura. On this one, on Simplify 3D, you can see there's no cross. To give you an idea on the top surface, this is the one done on Cura. So you can see the infill pattern done on that. The accuracy of that little hole there, and how much it has filled around it. That's on Cura. They're the layers, so pretty good. Nice layers on Cura, and the same on Simplify 3D. If you look at that infill there, it's nothing like as good. There's big gaps in it. You can see. You can only just see that difference with the naked eye. So something's not set up right in Simplify. That's the top surface in Simplify, with the little gaps in it. And that's the top surface in Cura, which has filled it perfectly. A couple of little gaps there, but it's filled it much, much nicer. So that was the two test tubes. So I've saved the best till last. So this is a circuit board. It's part of a graphics card, and I've put it back in the observatory behind me where I got it from, and it's been in there for a couple of years or something like that. Now it's pretty clean in there. There's no visible dust, but there is dust on it, like there's dust on everything. And as you'll see in this, we have an unwelcome critter makes an appearance on the video, a little dust mite. So let's get straight into that now. And it's more realistic of what people will be using it for on circuit boards, but we'll see our little friend make an appearance. So this is on a more indicative of the actual thing you would be using it on, a circuit board. This is from a graphics card, and this is on its minimum magnification. So if we get one of those, whatever they are, resistors, capacitors or whatever, the effect of moving the lights is, you can see the different shadows and that. Now, if I unplug the lights totally, you can see that's just with the light from the room. It's pretty abysmal, so they really do help. So get that on there, and then I'll zoom in on this now. This is on maximum magnification, and you can see how accurate it is. Every little detail. I've got this Skynix. Oh look, there's a little grub. Oh, look at that. Fancy seeing that. Wow. Oh my god. a little tiny whatever. I can't even see that. I'm looking at this chip now with my naked eye. Oh yeah, I can just see a little microscopic white dot moving around. See if we can get it a bit more in focus. That's a bonus. I suppose it's just, I don't know, average bugs you get around, but yeah, look at that. And you can only, I've lost it with my naked eye now. When you know where to look, you can sort of see it. Oh, how gross. I've just got this out of the telescope room. It's been there for months, years maybe. Tip of a ballpoint pen there. This is my edge of my finger. Again, it looks absolutely gross, doesn't it? But I'll bet yours looks the same. So from that, I think you can see how crisp it is. It's the resolution of the lens is absolutely fantastic. You can see every little detail, every speck of dust, and every little leg and feeler on that dust mite. And like I said, I could actually see it with my naked eye, believe it or not, but it's only because it was moving. It was just unbelievably small. It was smaller than the head of a pin by far. So yeah, that shows you what the magnification is like. So I'll have a quick look now at it. I'll just show it connected via its HDMI lead to my monitor and what the display shows on my monitor. So let's have a look at that now. So a very handy feature having a HDMI output enables you to connect to an external monitor, and you could be teaching a class, say, with it connected to a big screen monitor or projector. And you've got your controls there at the bottom, as you see here. Your normal sort of pause, fast forward, so I can speed it up. We're on 4 times fast forward now. I can pause it, play it, just as you would a normal video file. So yeah, like I say, a very handy feature having that HDMI output. You could connect it to like a 50-inch screen and display it to a class at school or whatever. So yeah, that's good. I won't ever use it, I think, because the 7-inch screen, I think, is big enough to see, and it's right in front of you. You wouldn't want to be sort of looking sideways at a monitor while you're trying to work on anything. You would look at the actual screen as you're doing it, but a handy feature to have. So one more thing that I said I'd show you is the built-in microphone. So I've done a bit of testing, recording through OBS with me normal mic and this at the same time, so you'll hear the difference. And I've not boosted the sound at all to begin with, so it's probably going to be a lot quieter. I've not heard it myself yet, but I anticipate it's not going to be very good. It's going to be quite quiet, and later on in the video I do boost it to show you what you can get. But let's have a look at the quality of the sound now. Okay, so I'm now recording. As you see at the top, we're into a minute of recording using the SD card, the micro SD card in the Microscope. So it now will be recording sound using its internal mic, as well as me recording this for this video on OBS. So I can switch now between the two mics, and I've got myself positioned exactly between my microphone and the Microscope. So you'll hear now, this is the Samsung mic, and I'll now switch over in editing to the Microscope mic. You're now hearing the built-in mic on the Microscope, which obviously will not be as good. I'm not altering anything in editing. I could boost the volume obviously, but I'm not altering anything, just to show you what the mic sounds like with all the same settings as this, the Samsung mic now, with identical sound settings. And one final time I'll switch over to the microphone in the telescope, the Microscope, which is what you're listening to now, and we'll boost it now till it's a decent volume on in editing. And again, so now you're listening to a proper sound level that you can hear, but it is still the mic in the microscope, so obviously won't sound as good quality, but I would think ideal for just adding a little note to a video to remind you what you're looking at. So that just about ties it up. As expected, the sound quality is absolutely abysmal. That later bit was boosted right up by a 20 dB gain just for you to be able to hear it in this video. But it is there. It's just obviously just a means of leaving a memo if you're recording something of length. So yeah, and sound, I didn't get it for sound anyway, so that's by the by. So yeah, in all, a great bit of kit, I'm sure you'll agree. It's not perfect. The quality of the plastic, like I say, isn't that great. It's all right. It's not broken or anything. Could do with going higher instead of having to mount it like that. But if you do, remember to mount it like that and not up there. You'll get a much better range of magnification and a wider field of view. The instruction book is probably one of the worst I've seen for missing things out and that. But other than that, great bit of kit. It makes up for everything with the optics. I'm sure you'll agree the optics are absolutely spot on and crystal clear, as you could see the legs and feelers on that dust mite and everything. So yeah, not cheap at 180 quid or 250 quid from Amazon, but there are dearer ones even than that. So yeah, I'm glad I got it. I don't regret getting it, and make your own mind up where to get it from. If you want to save 70 quid, use BANGGOOD, but with all the risks I pointed out earlier in the video. If you want total security, get it from Amazon. So I will put links to both in the description, and as always, they are affiliated. The BANGGOOD one isn't affiliated. I have no affiliation, sort of like I don't get any commission whatsoever from BANGGOOD if anybody buys anything, but I do from Amazon. So I'll put links to them both. If you do click on the Amazon link and buy something for that session, I do get a tiny commission, which helps the channel go. So if you're going to get one, it'd be great if you get it through that link. So I hope this has been of some use. I'll be back with the next one as soon as I think of something to do, probably the aforementioned and keep mentioning, I know, a little weather station. But hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't, give us a thumbs down. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please click the little picture here of the shed and click the bell icon below, and you will be informed of any future uploads. I'm going to keep them coming. Thanks for watching this one. See you for the next one. Bye for now.